First of all, Shavua Tov, good Vach, everyone. Welcome. We had Parshas Yisrael, Gewald, Matan Torah, Mitzvah Shem, next Friday, Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh Adar. So we are like, the Corona is celebrating, I believe it's first birthday or something like that. Since the whole bedlam started. We will learn today a Sicha, in Sichos Haran, that is a little bit different than the way we're usually learning. I mean, the Sicha that we're usually learning. And let's take a look at it and see what it is that we can make of it. Share the screen. Okay. This is the Sicha that we'll learn. Let me just make it a little bigger. Sicha Nun Ches, number 58. Shechoshim Torah. When you're thinking Torah. In other words, when you're working on understanding the piece of Torah that you learn, or when you want to be mechadesh something in Torah. So this is Shechoshim Torah, when you're thinking Torah, the way you do it is as follows. Tzarech liyos choshev advar Torah. Shirotza lechadesh. You have to think about that Torah that you want to be mechadesh. Lachshov v'lachzov v'machshov toi oisa pasuk. You have to think and reiterate and think over in your thought that pasuk that you want to try to understand. Oisa inyan that you want to be mechadesh in. Kama v'chama pa'on haben oid. You have to go through it and review it, revise it, look it over again, a lot of times. And like you know, Lahavdil, as Bob Dylan used to say, gotta knock on heaven's door. They have to knock on the door of the Dvar Torah that you want, and until it'll be open mishamayim. Rabbeinu says this dovo, and sometimes there is a reality that something like crosses your thought. Like something being thrown from one side to the next. Then it just, you had it and it's gone. You have to be a somebody, very resolute, to run, to chase it, and to run after it, and to be massive. The first thing that is obvious to us from here is the fact that the process of being mechadesh in Torah is similar to the process that the Rebbe speaks about as Beidegus, which means don't force the issue. It's not the Torah that you're learning. You want HaKadosh Baruch Hu to give it to you as a present. It's not something that you want to like force your way into it. Dafka, this the Indian of Chidush. I said in the beginning, is also when you were trying to understand Pshat, the Pshat is different. Rabbeinu is saying that basically the difference between understanding what the Pshat is, what the Torah is telling you, as opposed to coming up with a new understanding, with a new Chiddush to what's going on, is that when it comes to understanding a shtickle Torah, then the Rebbe says in Torah Aleph, you have to learn Torah B'koach. You have to put your koiches in. You have to force yourself in. Adrabah, any kind of impediments that stand on your way of learning Torah, it could be ADHD, it could be language barriers, it could be concentration, things that disturb you to concentrate. It could be noise at home, it could be noise inside your head, that you're stuck on a certain issues, and whatever it is a person lives, when you live, things are what they are. And nevertheless, you're supposed to bulldoze your way in. I mean, it says that the dafka, in the meaning of understanding the Torah itself, the Rabbeinu says in Torah Aleph that the main potentiation of the Yetzer Tov, given the koach, the Yetzer Tov, comes through limud Torah b'koach. Because we're learning Torah with great force. Great force can mean, obviously, saying it out loud and saying it loudly. In the Torah we're learning in the Kutama Torah Chafalef, Rabbeinu says that in order to bring the Makifin in, you have to shout in Torah and Tefillah. And that particular shouting is an issue that we need to speak about. What does it mean to shout in Torah and Tefillah? But the main thing is that the koach, the resoluteness, the forcefulness, the stick-to-itiveness, the investment, the willingness to get out of your comfort zone in order to understand what it is the Torah is telling you is the way to inject power into the Yetzer Tov to overcome the Yetzer Hara. And Rabbeinu says, Torah Aleph, that a person needs to look into the seichel that exists in everything. The way that you get to it is by, with the malchus, with accepting the yoke, and the main potentiation of it is learning Torah b'koach. What is the thing that is holding us back from doing anything b'koach? The thing is that we are unable to see clearly what reality truly is. There is Olam Hazeh, there is Olam Haba. And everything that I do in Olam Hazeh is inexorably tied to what's going to happen with me in Olam Haba. If I mislead someone in this world, as they said, there's literally hell to pay. Besides the fact of all kind of gilgulim and all kind of vinyanim. But the main reason, like, why am I not seeing this in this world? It is said that we read Matan Torah today in this week's parsha, and it says that this is the Kol Godol, the Lo Yosef, that it's a voice that did not stop. The voice that did not stop, which means that the voice that the Kodesh Baruch Hu spoke to us in Matan Torah is still going on. Is still, comes out, and still you can still hear it. It did not stop. Comes the question, so why am I not hearing it? Why don't we hear that voice of the Kodesh Baruch Hu in Matan Torah? The answer, as pointed out by Dov Giertzman very elegantly, he says, you can tell people, listen, don't speak Lashon Hara, don't speak Rechilas, don't speak whatever, or you can tell people, don't listen to Lashon Hara, don't listen to Rechilas, don't listen to all these things. The need to warn people not to listen to something, not to hear something, only pertains to things that are interesting. I cannot force anybody to listen to something that doesn't interest them. If somebody comes to say, he wants to talk to you about something, and it's just not interesting. I mean, he can talk to you, and said that it goes one ear goes out the other. I'm just not interested. I mean, you can't force anybody to be interested. They had they still have a great bumper sticker about Lo Shanoah Lo Medaber Elai. Lashon Hara doesn't speak to me. The answer is that the voice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu from Matan Torah still resounding in the world, non-stop. So why don't I hear it? It doesn't speak to me. It doesn't talk to me. It's not my thing, as it were. That kind of myopia, that it doesn't talk to me, that's the job of the Yetzer Hara. That's his work. I know in Hebrew they call it begadol. Generally, I know that this is the way things are. And everybody knows that the person has to leave this world at a certain point in time. One has to die. This is it. And everybody knows that B'ezrat Hashem, we believe that there is Olam Haba. And whatever it is, there's a very complex system of what did I do, what didn't I do, what did I transgress, what didn't I transgress, about all this, what kind of Gilgur I am, and what did I do, what didn't I do, all these things. We all know it and we all believe it. Baruch Hashem, everything is okay, except that it's a little bit theoretical. Let's put it this way. It's if I didn't eat, I'm hungry. That is something that I can I can feel. Those other inyanim, the inyanim of Yetzer Torah, the inyan of learning Torah, the inyan of Torah b'koyach, the point is that the more a person is aware, the closer the thing is to me. If it's lo physical pain, or physical hunger, or financial constraints, when it's close, a person is very much aware of it. When it's far, it's Reb Shimon Tachner once said, what's the difference between Yiras Einish and Yiras Haroinimus? We all know that you have Yira, and above it you have Ahava, and above the love of Hashem you have Yiras Haroinimus. It starts with Yiras Einish. What's the difference between Yiras Einish, the fear of punishment, and the Yiras Haroinimus, the being in awe, the awe of Hashem. The fact that Hashem is the king, Hashem is everything is so he said, Yiras Einish is akin to seeing, it's like seeing a lion, a real live lion, about, 100 feet away from you, 200 feet away from you. That feeling that you have is Yiras Einish. You do whatever it is you need to do in order to not come in face to face with the lion closer. The awe of Hashem, the Yiras Haroinimus, is if the lion is 10 feet from you. When you look at the lion is 10 feet from you, you're frozen. You're frozen. Which means that the Yiras Haroinimus means that you have come to realize, and it's evident to you, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you life right this second, right now. And while you're worried, what's going to be tomorrow, or, how am I going to pay for this, or what will the doctor say, or what will the checkup say, whatever it is, tomorrow, the next day, or the next week, or the next month. But what about right now? Well, what about right now? Okay, right now is it's okay, Baruch Hashem. I don't know what you want from me. There's no difference between right now and tomorrow, or a day from now. If you realize that you are sitting on HaKadosh Baruch Hu's hands, you're breathing HaKadosh Baruch Hu at any given moment, and it's not a given. Yeah, it's given to you, but the point is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give it to you right now. He is your life. Hashem. That's like the air of the nose of, as we said on Thursday. This is called Yiras Haroinimus. That's the awe, the immediacy. Now, so when it comes to understanding the Torah that is sitting in front of you, you open up a Sefer, you open up a Gemara, and you take a look at Rashi, look at the Gemara, look at the Rashi, at Tosfos, whatever information that you learn, could be Schottenstein or Masivta or whatever it is that you want. And you sit down and you learn. The Torah itself, when you meet it, when you cannot understand what's going on, the Baal Shem Tov said that the way to sweeten the verdict on a person, he says, if a person is in a situation that there are verdicts on him, things, are going not as well as I hoped they would, in any fashion. Hashem Tov says, this is when there's dinim on a person. So he said you should take, a dvater that you have difficulty in understanding and work on it and knock on the door and force your way in. And when you are able to understand the dvater, you have sweetened and ameliorated the dinim. In fact, Rav Yitzchok Zilberstein, the son-in-law, the son-in-law of Rav Yosef, said b'shem Rav Yosef, he said that anybody lo aleinu v'lo alechem that has some kind of a medical problem, even a very severe one, what he should do, he should take the Sefer of the Noda B'Yehuda. The Noda B'Yehuda was Rabbi Cheskel Lando, of Prague, who was a chief rabbi in Prague after the Maharal, later on. And he famous Noda B'Yehuda of the time of the Baal Shem Tov, and he wrote a Sefer Noda B'Yehuda of Halacha. So he says that learning Noda B'Yehuda B'Iyun, sit there and learn what the Noda B'Yehuda is saying. So Noda B'Yehuda is what is he saying? Why is he saying what he's saying? So really, the way to understand the proper way of learning Torah b'chlal, if anybody wants to learn Torah seriously and to be mechadish, the way to do it, Nosson writes to his son, that's the way you should learn Torah. You should always, you start with the Gemara, if you can, you start with the Gemara, and then you go with the Rishonim, and once you understand the Gemara is saying, what the Rishonim are saying, then you go with the Achronim, you say what the Achronim are saying, and then you come down to the latest Meforshim. Then you really understand what is going on. You're really learning. The chief rabbi, the son of Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef, he's saying somebody gave him a sefer of chidushim. He says, take a look at it and tell me what you think about it. He says, he opened up the sefer, and he said, Kosev agrees. The Goen, the Briskerov, Rabbi Yitzchak Zev Soloveitchik, the father of Rabbi Soloveitchik, was just niftar. So his father says, agrees. He says, Kosev agrees. So Rabbi Yosef says, what do you mean Kosev agrees? That's not the way where you started with degrees. You start with the Gemara, then you go with the Rishon, and you go with the Achronim, and at the end, once everything is clear, you say what percent, and down you say, now the degrees says this and this about it, and then you can say what you want. What do you mean you're starting with? In other words, the meaning of learning Torah is the meaning of building to understand the sugya from the bottom up. Rav Steinman said, you want to know when you understand a sugya in the Gemara? He says, if you are able to learn the Ma'asha and understand what he's saying, that means you learned the Gemara, you understood the Gemara, and you understood what Rashi and Tosfos are saying. Because without understanding this, you're not going to understand what the Ma'asha is saying, and what his questions and what the answers are. You're not going to understand. The Indian of now the thing is that not every single person is capable of doing this. But the thing is that if you take any kind of vater and you do not understand, and you do what it takes to understand, Baal Shem Tov says you are sweetening the dinim from yourself. Sweetening the dinim means relationships, means money, means health, means whatever. And specifically, Rav Yosef said, Noda B'Yehuda is mesugol to refuah. Anybody who needs it should remember that. And first of all, a good idea is to purchase Noda B'Yehuda. Because when you have it, We all have, remember once they had years ago, they had this feature on television about people with medications. So they asked, they went to people's homes, is what kind of medications you have at home. They open up the cabinet in the bathroom, and you see all kinds of medications. Some are expired, some not. I have, some kind of penicillin. You never know. The penicillin, Pen VK 500. So yeah, it's just Zolzan. It should be. Then you have, of course, antiseptics, whatever it is, first aid, whatever, all kinds of weird medications that you don't know if you're ever going to need them. This, yeah, you store. Well, having the Noda Buda in your house, it's put in your medicine cabinet. And the truth is that it's better to start learning already, because when you're learning it, if it's good, once a person is not well, it'll probably be even better while you're still well. The Gemara says a person should always daven that he shouldn't get sick, because once he gets sick, now they say, okay, bring a schos and get out of it. But while Baruch Hashem, we're healthy, now is the time, to inject ourselves with vitamins of Limud Torah. We have to work hard in order to understand what is going on in the shtickle Torah before you. The way to do it, in order to be able to do it, is you have to make a decision. I'm going to do it. It's go, no, come on. It's not for you. Not now. Later. We all know that later never comes. Later always becomes a now, and now it's not now. It's later. It's not. We'll do it later. Learning to understand something. I don't know what you want from me. It's not me. It's like to understand. No, it is me. Yeah, this is Olam Hazeh, and yes, there is Olam Haba. I have to take care of it. In order to take care of it, in order to take it upon myself, it takes a decision. As we said, first of all, stop. Have the Torah before me. I accept upon myself the necessity of sitting down and understanding the Dvar Torah that is in front of me. I'm going to do whatever it is that it takes. I'm going to invest the time. I'm going to invest the effort. And if it doesn't come easy, it's okay. That's what it's about. I'm going to invest the time and effort in order to be able to see it. And then we come to what tonight's Sicha is about. We're talking about Chidushim. Chidushim are a different matter. Rabbeinu says that there is a danger. There is a danger in Chidush Torah. The danger that exists in Chidush Torah is that when you are saying a new Chiddush in Torah, you're not just showing how creative you are, even though obviously you are showing how creative you are. And everybody needs this kind of self-verification and the fact, listen, I can do something, I can be mechadish, I can say something which is like, wow, okay. Having a noah from a Chiddush Torah that you have come up with, it's normal. It's a normal situation. Other than verkehrt, the Klozen Begorov, Zichron Levracha, said that the hanoah from the Torah, enjoying, of the limit of Torah, is part of limit Torah. It's not an allowed side effect of learning Torah. He says, no, that is limit. That's part and parcel of limit Torah. You need to get to the point that you tap into the endless pleasure of learning Torah. But beyond that, there is an amazing pasuk. The pasuk actually says, "Le'emor leTzion ami ato," to say to Zion, to Am Yisrael, "You're my nation, ami ato." The Medrash has an amazing flip on this. The Medrash says, "Al tikra ami," don't read this word, ami, my nation, but imi, with me. Ma ana brosi shamaya va'ara b'miluli, what I have created the world, the heaven and the earth, with my words. Afatem ken. Rabbeinu says that when a person is mechadish di chidush Torah, you are actually creating Shamayim v'aretz. You're creating an aspect of Shamayim, and you're creating an aspect of Aretz. What does it mean? What, I'm going to go somewhere and suddenly I'm going to open the window. Whoa, look at this. Violet sky. Oh, that's amazing. I just created it with my Chidush Torah. That's not the way it works. Shamayim v'aretz means Shamayim that give rain, and the Aretz that gives the crops. The Aretz cannot give the crops unless the Shamayim give it rain. When you are Mechadish Dvar Torah, you are creating a source of Shamayim that brings down rain privately to you, spiritually, and you are creating an Aretz. You're creating, with which the crops will grow, your parnasa will grow. So Rabbeinu says when a person is Mechadish Chidush Torah, and these Chidush Torah are not true. And when a Chidush Torah are not true, Chidush Torah are not true when they come from a Medama. What's Chidush Torah is you compare one thing to the other. This reminds me of this, and this reminds me, so maybe I'll take from this and I'll put it to here, and here I have a Dvar Torah. I'll give you an example. We learned that the main Inyan, which is shaykh to what we're saying now, that the main Inyan in Shiva Saneras and getting the Shefa Eloki, as we're getting into Mitzvah Hashem, we started last week, but we're getting this Thursday, we're getting into, the second chelek of the Torah that starts dealing with the Makifim. The way to get it in is through urging and tze'oko, and screaming in Torah and tefillah. Means a yearning that you're yearning to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to bring Torah down, to bring a true understanding down. This is what's about, what this whole thing is about. When a certain understanding comes to a person, we are made up of various opinions, preconceived ideas. We understand things to mean this, as this means this, and we're just going around with tremendous self-confidence. I understand what this is about. I understand what wrestling is about. I understand what this is about. I understand what Torah is about. I understand what the Shkofa is about. I know. So, by me, things are very, very clear. A person needs to come to the voice, to the words of the tzaddik, totally with total bittul. I don't understand anything. I don't know anything. When a person, that's the way Reb Nosson did that. When a person understands that, when a person approaches this, so he gets the message of the tzaddik clean. That was Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was obviously the ultimate student of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He got from Peil Pe'adaber, he got from the mouth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Totally clean. There was no Moshe. Vayish Moshe Anav Meod. He was totally humble. He didn't have any opinion of his own. Whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, that's it. Hashchim Deber Migon Moshe. Everybody else has what they call negias, if we go ulterior motives. It's not necessarily ulterior motives that I have some kind of manipulations that I really want to manipulate. So therefore, no, it's just that, I'm a mixed bag of opinions, of things that I heard, of resentments, of superiority complex, inferiority complex, self-image, whatever it is. I'm a very complex thing. So when a new piece of information comes my way, it is processed in my faculties. And my faculties are not clean. They're a mixed bag of truth and false. I'm absolutely certain that I know what I'm talking about, 100%. And I will shut anybody down. But the truth is that I'm bringing here a keli, which is all my pgamim are in this keli. So actually recreating a Dvar Torah with such a keli is the chances for me to come up with a false Dvar Torah, which will create false skies that don't rain, and a false eyes that does not grow. Rabbeinu says, therefore, Parnasa will suffer. It brings about poverty. Are great. So we can take, let's make a chiddush. In Moedim, in the Tefillah, in the Bracha of Moedim, we're thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Al Chayinu Mitzvim B'yadecha, our lives that are in your hands, Al Yishmosein Apkudus Lach, on neshamas that are, that they're like it's a borrowed thing that we have to bring back. V'nisech shebechol imamanu, and your miracles that are with us every day. V'niflavesecha v'tovasecha, your wonders and your kindness. Shebechol et, at every given moment, erev avoker v'tzoraim, every evening, every morning, every noontime, every single second is filled with tova and pella and miracles. And then we say, Atov kilu chalu rachamecha, amerachem kilu tam chasadecha. And then there's a very peculiar addition, ki me'olam kivinu lach. For we have always longed for you, hoped for you. What is it doing here? Atov kilu chalu rachamecha, v'amerachem kilu tam chasadecha. What is the Olam Kivinu doing here? What was it got to do with anything? Here, let's make it a Chiddush Torah. Okay? We said that the ultimate thing is to get the Das Eloki, the Shef Eloki. And the Shef Eloki can only get it through this world by battling, the Kedusha Shivas and Eras, by battling your Yetzer Hara. We said, Ribono Shel Olam, you're giving us such tremendous chasodim, such tremendous favors all the time. And we're saying, our lives and our neshamas and your miracles and your kindness, every single day, this is Olam Hazeh. Then we say, but Tov kilu chalo v'chamecha merachem kilu tamu chasadecha. There is a greater level of rachmanis and chesed. You know what it is? Beyond The fact that our lives in the Kadosh Baruch Hu's hands, beyond the miracles that He does with us every single moment, is the fact that the Kadosh Baruch Hu has given us the chance to yearn from Him. Ki me'olam, Rabbeinu says, is that the Medrash says, me'olam shon ha'elem, when you don't see, when you don't feel, from behind the barrier, from behind the wall, kivinu, we can come to you with hope, with yearning, without any negias. I want you. Right now, I am a mixed bag. Right now, if I were to get things into my own faculties and start a chiddush, my own deficiencies will come to fore, and the Torah that will come up will be with my own seichel. It'll be me, let me show you how brilliant I am. But the big chesed is that we are able to hope for you and urge from you from this world, which is totally concealed. Okay, it's a chiddush Torah. Better, worse, higher, lower, I don't know. But there are two things over here. One of them, that it is based on something that we know that is a fact. We know it's a fact that the main thing is to come to a bitul in order to bring down the Shefa Eloki. And this is done through urging, through longing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to come, kivinu lach, this union of hope, waiting for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to come. So we know the basis of this Chiddush Torah is true. The principle of what we're saying is true. Once we are doing with something which we know is true, we're basically safe in this Chiddush. Now, is this Chiddush, if it stems 100%, if it's like something really, really elegant, wow, this is brilliant, I don't know. But we know that it is true. We know that it is true means we're not creating a Shamayim Shel Shav, a false heavens, in a false ground, which will take away our parnasa. We're on safe ground. But the deeper is what Rabbeinu says here in this Torah is you should knock. Go over this Torah, go over again, go over again, go over again. And he says you have to knock and knock and knock until they open the door. What does that do? If you are just knocking, if you are visiting this Torah, you're looking in this Gemara, you're repeating it, a Gemara, Shulchan Aruch, Divrei Rabbeinu, Shtickle Likutei Halachos, or whatever it is, or even a piece of Sefer Amidas. I don't understand what was Rabbeinu mean to say with this, but you go over it in your mind. You go over it with your mind. Mind you, all the Kisva Arizal learned the Zohar like that. He took a Ma'amar from the Zohar and he repeated to himself. He meditated over it. He went over it. He knocked and knocked and knocked on heaven's door until they opened the door and they revealed all the Kisva Arizal. That's the way it brought him down. Because ultimately, the epitome of not forcing the issue, not being doichek es hashah, is achieved by patience. You do what you need to do, you go over the Torah, you go over the Torah, and you're waiting for Kadosh Baruch Hu to open the door for you. Kadosh Baruch Hu and you're staying there, you're patient, you're devoted, you're resolute, you're going to stay with it, and in its own good time, while you were working this thing over in your mind, because Baruch Hu will open the door for you. And then, once you know that, when something shines in your mind, you can measure, do I know that the principle of what I'm saying is true? I'm not inventing something out of the blue. Then it is something that you got from above. You didn't take it by force. The same principle applies for Hezbollah. You don't just come in, with a written list of what it is that you want, even though this is the thing that helps you, b'kasha. But the ultimate is better. So when you come, you don't even know, you don't even know what you're going to talk about. You come totally empty. You come totally mevuto. I don't know. And you wait until HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you the words. You let HaKadosh Baruch Hu to bring you in. So the Muslim says that to force the issue is a shtickle, this in of dorchikas hashor, pushing the hour. Pushing the hour, Shem Yerachim, is a very dangerous thing to do. You don't want to jump the gun. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. We have Gevaldig Tzaddik, as we said, about Yisrael, the Yisrael, that Yisrael came to Moshe Rabbeinu. And V'yishmo Yisrael, Rashi says, as we said it before, Ma Shmua Shomo Uva, what did Yisrael hear that he came? And we said that what he heard was Kriyas Yamsuf and Melchemes Amalek. So we said, and what's the big chiddush? Everybody heard. The entire world heard what was going on. The dwellers of Canaan are trembling in their boots. Everybody heard about Kriyas Yamsuf. But they didn't come. They didn't come to Moshe Rabbeinu to the Midbar. Yisro did. What did he hear that he came? He heard that after Kriyas Yamsuf, everybody was scared, witless from Israel. Nobody dared start with him, except Amalek. The Mamza. The Midrash says that, we said a bathtub filled with scalding water, that Mamza jumped in, even though he was scalded and he was burnt, he chilled it out for everybody else. Okay, it's no big deal. We can start up with them. Eden, Kodesh Baruch Hu, no problem. We can fight them. We can. This is what he did. To the point Kodesh Baruch Hu says, Amalek, Ein Hashem Shalom, Ve'en Akisa Shalom. My name is not complete, and my throne of glory is not complete until Amalek is out of the equation, totally away, annihilate. Yisro heard there can be a revelation of Kriyas Yamsuf, and there can be Amalek right afterwards. So he says, I have to go to the tzaddik, I have to go to Moshe. I got to hear it from Moshe's mouth, because the truth, the way it comes from the tzaddik, is clean. And the Amunas Chacham, I heard the Nakim Yashar to say that the biggest mile of Yisrael is that he understood the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu. That was the greatness of Yisrael. He fully grasped, as much as anybody could, the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu. You can't live without the tzaddik. We can't live without Moshe Rabbeinu. We can't live without Rabbeinu. Because everything else we'll come up with will be argument about which seat in the parliament we're going to sit, in the list for the elections. I'll be the first, the second, the third. No, I'll be the third. No, I'll be the fourth. No, I'll be the second. I'll be this and I'll be that. We'll be stuck in that. But if your ear is dedicated to the mouth of the tzaddik, and you want to hear it from him, you will hear Divrei Kim Chaim, you'll be able to be mevatel yourself. And Bezat Hashem, Mizoichet to Chidusha Torah that are clean, that Bezat Hashem will build you and me and everybody, Shemaim Shel Emes, and Aretz Shel Emes, and Bezat Hashem, Parnasa Toivo, and health and wealth to you and to Klal Yisrael, Bezat Hashem. Okay, Bezat Hashem,